Hello, readers of Every Word, and welcome to Every Word 365. I'm your host, Christina Madsen, and today we're reading Daniel 1 through 3. You can be honest, it's nice not to be reading prophecies anymore and get back to some storytelling, right? At least that's how I feel. So thank you, Daniel. Here's some background information on the book from Got Questions. The book of Daniel identifies the prophet Daniel as its author. Jesus also mentions Daniel as the author later on in Matthew. The date of the writing, the book of Daniel was likely written between 540 and 530 BC. Purpose of the writing. In 605 BC, Nebuchadnezzar, or some say Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, had conquered Judah and deported many of its inhabitants to Babylon, Daniel included. Daniel served in the royal court of Nebuchadnezzar and several rulers who followed Nebuchadnezzar. The book of Daniel records the actions, prophecies, and visions of the prophet Daniel. Here's a brief summary starting from the beginning of the book. Chapter 1 describes the conquest of Jerusalem by the Babylonians. Along with many others, Daniel and his 3 friends were deported to Babylon, and because of their courage and the obvious blessings of God upon them, they were promoted in the king's service. Chapters 2 through 4 record Nebuchadnezzar having a dream that only Daniel could correctly interpret. Nebuchadnezzar's dream of a great statue represented the kingdoms that would arise in the future. Nebuchadnezzar made a great statue of himself and forced everyone to worship it. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego refused and were miraculously spared by God despite being thrown into a fiery furnace. Nebuchadnezzar is judged by God for his pride, but later restored once he recognized and admitted God's sovereignty. And of course, I'm including a link to all of this from Got Questions. I'll be curious to know how much of this story you already knew and how much is new or not often shared. Sometimes the stories that we know or really remember best are actually a little different when we read the entire thing. So be ready to share it. When I first read the Bible, you know that I could barely tell you the Christmas story and the Easter story, so I didn't know a lot of the stories, and so I was learning them as I read them. So I'm curious for those of you that know these stories, have you ever read every word of these stories? And if you haven't, I'm wondering what that's been like for you. If it was good, bad, different than you remember. So let me know what that's been like for you. Tomorrow is a day off. Enjoy the break or use it to get caught up on some of the paper clips that you might have. Then it'll be Daniel 4 through 6. Happy reading!